Today's topic is...
GW, we're disappointed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to Waypan. I'm Cal.
And I'm Sunny.
Let's not set your expectations too high like we did with GW. This won't be a visual-intensive episode.
When we did our GW We're Excited video, let's just say we were hyped up for things that we were really looking forward to with the Hivestorm box, and we were severely let down.
So the reason why we were so hyped up was because of a concept of PvE, player versus environment. Now, this allows for both solo play and co-op play.
But when we got to the rules for these things, it was really lackluster.
It came down to just 2 pages of the rules.
It was like if someone told you, let's go to the movies, only to watch the preview.
And then just go home.
Yeah, it was so disappointing. It was like we thought there would be more different types of character behaviors, but there was only just 2 types. And I feel like they could have explored more with that. They could have given more options with that, because if this is going to be your AI deck and you only have 2 different types of people to fight against, that's not going to create much of a variation or a challenge to your players.
I guess you could call it 3, but in the end, all that was describing different parts of missions, and it's just there for clarity's sake.
If you've read the Warhammer community post on co-op missions, that's pretty much 80% of all you need to know already there on the post.
And honestly, if it was 100% of the rules, I'd be happier because I would have known what I was going into. But the way that they put things out, we expected a lot more. So what extra information do you get? Well, you get 4 new types of enemies. So instead of just having the Brawler Trooper, you have the Brawler Trooper, Tough and Heavy. And for the Marksman, you have the Trooper, Warrior and Heavy.
We did a live stream unboxing the Hivestorm box, and during this, our viewers actually tried to come to the defense of GW here and said that, they've never done this before. This is new for them. So they were just testing the waters, but I really think this was barely even trying.
When it comes to that, I think a lot of them said that what they wanted to do was start small and then they'd add more. And to be fair, that there was a lot of other ones which were like, I'm very not impressed. But it's when you have disappointment like this that a niggling scratch becomes a full-on outbreak of hives. Small things that you never would have really brought up or found issue with become issues. For example, they're called NPO behaviors. Now, why are they called NPOs? Because they're non-player operators. But why not use the simple and known terminology? Just non-player characters, come on.
Yeah, plus it would have been a lot more easier because for me even, when I was saying NPO, I was like, wait, what is that again? As compared to if I said NPC, I was like, okay, I got it. That's what you're talking about.
Every barrier that you add to an incoming player makes it so that they are less likely to play. So why add any of these barriers? It is ridiculous to do so.
And we all know why, because it's Games Workshop and you have to have those copyrightable names. And I think for me, it was particularly souring because they actually did some really good things, like with the cards.
Now, this is nothing new, but it is so good. It is so nice to see.
They've got cards on turn orders set up, your game sequence, and even terrain legends, which I thought was really great because these cards are simple, they're big, they're easy to use on the table and refer to because it doesn't take up too much space on your table. And that's something that I find is quite frustrating when I play games like skirmish games in general. There's too many things on the table, and they thought of it really well, and then they come to the other rules and then it makes it so...
Yeah, and this is one of the issues. You see how they think about things like, let's make it so that there's not too much space taken up by the book, having people swap back and forth. They can just look at these cards and it's not too hard. And yes, it's nothing new. It's nothing crazy. But what it is it means that they are thinking about the new players coming in.
It made me feel like, because I often take a look at Warhammer games or just skirmish games in general, and I get really demotivated because I'm like, oh, there's so many things to learn, so many systems, but you've got notes right here in card format. It made me feel excited to play.
And that's one of your biggest problems. You have a big fear when it comes to games because you don't want to feel stupid. That's your number one thing that you've said that you get upset with games.
And when you make playing or learning a game a chore, that's how you lose everybody.
But let's take a look at the other side of the equation where you were very on board, which was the dossier.
Yeah, I really liked seeing how you had these different color schemes and themes that you could base your characters from, and it was nice to see that.
Yeah, so in each of them, they've got 5 different color schemes for both the Tempestus Scions and...
Tempestus Aquilons, apparently, for this one.
Okay, Aquilon Scions, yeah. All right. Anyway, so you've got 5 different for both them and the Vespids. Then, of course, it has the standard faction rules and faction equipment, but that didn't really interest us this much because we just came to take a look at, all right, how are we going to play co-op and multiplayer? And then once we saw that it was pretty lackluster, we sort of just lost our passion.
Yeah, and this is not a cheap box, you guys.
312, was it?
Oh, yeah, because we got it from a local game store, but if you're getting it from the website, it's actually 390 AUD.
No. So that one was with an additional thing, which I believe was just the wound counter marker.
Yeah, the wound counter markers, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, this one's an exclusive thing. And I'm like, jeez.
And you know something? We had people comment during the live stream like, okay, do you find it that it's worth it if I just want the Vespids? No!
Not even close.
$312 just for like, what, 10 minis? Like, forget it.
Yeah. Like, if you were getting it for everything in the box, it's worth it. If you're getting it for the whole game, all of that. But if you're just getting it for, let's say, just the rules, not worth it. If you're getting it for just the Vespids or just
the Aquilons.
Yeah, not worth it.
Definitely not. That is to also say a game should not cost $312.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I was just thinking about, is it worth it? Yeah, if you really want this, it's worth it.
Yeah, and the whole package.
Yeah, but speaking of whether it's worth it or not, let's talk about the minis that you get in the box. Oh, and I want to talk about the tokens for just a moment, because I thought the tokens were like super cute. They're like almost chibi versions of tokens.
You got confused at first. It's like, why is a grenade this big? And it was just like, oh, wait, it's a token. And it was like, yeah, I thought it was really cute.
The terrain also seems to be hitting around the level of detail that I'd like. Like when I look at these compared to the Gallo Dark, I'm like, oh, these seem a lot better, but we haven't painted them up, to be fair, so we don't 100% know.
But hey, if you look at something and you don't feel intimidated by it, that's a good start.
Yeah.
And another thing that was really nice to see is I've got these little terrains with barbed wires, and I thought that was really nice. It's something you don't normally see with terrain pieces.
Actually, I thought that their barbed wire terrain pieces were some of the best terrain pieces that I've seen from GW in a while. They're very crisp, very clean, and I thought to myself, why do you not have more of these? There's only 2.
Yeah, there's only 2.
It was bizarre because I thought you should have way more of these. There should be like a whole sprue of these.
Yeah, so you can make like a little fence or a barricade of, barbed wire. Because that's what barbed wire is for. You're meant to make like a fence out of it.
Yeah. But onto the thing that the people care about, or at least what we see people actually care about, which is the Vespid Stingwings. And they were very pleasant to put together.
Oh, yes. Of course, there was the usual problem with GW sprue arrangement.
Yes, it's very non-humane.
It's a bit haphazard because as I was assembling the pieces, some of them, they put the sets together like...
Which was really nice.
But not all. They didn't arrange it that way. Like, you still have to go to a different sprue to get something else some of the times.
Well, when it was just the wings, that's okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't upset about that. And I do like how that they've arranged the wings, how you've got them separate so you can do them up in a different style. They've very much thought about the painter with this, but the assembly is still a bit of a pain in the tuchus.
It was, no, actually, I would disagree because the Vespids were actually way easier for me to assemble.
Yes, no, I was going to bring this up, that the Aquilons?
The Aquilons.
The Aquilons were just, they were a bit of a nightmare.
I really hated putting together the arm that connects to the gun. That one kept slipping off every time I put the glue on. It
has a strange connection where it seems to sort of connect along the palm.
Yeah, like, it's fine, but I think the joining was not really deep enough for it to connect nice and
Usually it's more of a socket sort of joint.
Yeah.
And we're used to that, and it usually is a lot easier.
Yeah, it wasn't so much with the Aquilons, but the Vespids were so great. My favorite part was actually putting on the thorax. It's just like you can just fit it in there and it goes snap.
It's almost a snap lock part of the model.
Yeah.
You almost don't have to use
a glue. But it was great. It was really fantastic. Plus, I mean, you got wings. Everyone loves wings, you know.
Well, guys, the obvious is obvious. The painters liked the models and they didn't like the rules as much because, of course, GW overpromised.
Yes, and we really think they could have done more on that front.
But yeah, that's it. So we hope you enjoyed this review. And as always, keep those brushes wet. Bye-bye. Okay, so the Hivestorm box set from the website.
Yep, that's 390.
All right, we want some clippers.
That's 59.
All right, and we want the knife.
Yep, that's 55.
And then the plastic glue.
Which is 13.
So that makes a total of
517.
Oh, that's all right. It's only $1,000. I don't see why people complain about the price of Warhammer.
Or we could just buy an Xbox.